You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek back in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings, and I'm still in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, April 16th, episode 3672, brought to you by Poseidon Animal Health.
Hello, Horse World. It's Wednesday, the day you start daydreaming of a weekend with your horses. We'll help you get there with more silly horse talk on Horses in the Morning.
Well, it's good to be back. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a fun show planned for you today. We have one of the most delightful guests on. She's always been delightful. And that's Charlotte Jorst, and she is joining us. She's the Grand Prix Dressage rider you probably all have heard of, and she's joining us about cloning her championship horse, Nintendo. And well, let's just say she's got 3 of them. So we're going to find out how all that works. And then we have Dr. Jones joining us, and she's going to discuss bone cysts. We had a request from one of the auditors for that. Do we have any weird news?
There's a little bit, and we're going to wrap up today's weird news. Where, Glenn?
Oh, Florida.
You got it.
And we have a post-show planned. I have something fun planned for the post-show, which Jamie doesn't know about yet. So it is good to be back home. It's good to be back on with you, Jamie. And I got to say, I met a lot of listeners over the weekend, and I was very proud of this. And that is a lot of the listeners said their horse husbands listened to the show. So hello to all the horse husbands out there. That made my day, knowing that horse husbands find us entertaining too.
I did get a message from somebody who had to close her laptop real quick when we were talking about how much shopping we were going to do in Kentucky because her horse husband started to walk by and she had to close it real quick. So I think you're safe with me, baby.
So hello to all the horse husbands out there. We're glad you're listening in as well.
Sometimes I do play parts of this or show things to Chad just to make sure he knows I'm not the only crazy person. Like I'm like, see, it's not just me.
No, there's a whole gaggle of you.
You guys be careful.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of you out there, thousands and thousands. It was fun. We had a great time over the weekend. I met some cool people, and I just wanted to thank everybody that came to dinner with us, and it was fun to see Joy and Kristen and everybody as well. So, and thank you to Ashley for helping out and for Lisa for filling in Monday, because I got home at 1:30 in the morning. I was in no shape to talk the next day. I guess Ashley got the sickness this time. So,
did you find some time in your weekend to watch some of the Masters? Because no. I'm sorry, I have not. My husband, I walked down the aisle, Glenn. We got married. It was this beautiful ceremony on the beach. I walked down with my father. My father's crying. I look up, Chad's nothing. We will watch saddest movies in the world. People we know die, nothing. This dude wins the Masters, and my husband is crying like a baby.
Did he make you watch golf?
Oh, I thought that it would be nice to watch the last day of the Masters with him. Now, I had already competed that day, so I was like in no world, like able to get off the couch after doing dressage, cross country, and show jumping all in one day. And so we sat down, he had recorded it, and we watched the Masters. And I was like, are you crying? And then it made me cry because he was crying. So you didn't have any Masters fun this weekend?
No, I didn't. I would have gotten a good nap in though for that, for sure. Hey, big news while I was gone, and the Olympics has moved.
Oh my gosh. I was so devastated to hear that Galway did not get it. Just devastated.
And they're moving to Santa Anita, which is in the middle of the freaking city. Have you been there?
Yes, I went to the Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. And
where would they do cross country?
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do this, where they're going to do this, they have stabling and a track. Like what?
There is a golf course right next to it. Maybe they'll take over the golf course.
Yes, one can hope that a golf course will go to good use. Oh my God.
Oh, Jennifer says that's how they did it the last time they took over the golf course. Remember, it was there before.
Well,
that'd be great. That's every rider's dream.
Let's giddy up. Let's giddy up. Oh my God. I am so gonna like smush that into my husband's face. Do you know where they're riding right now? A golf course.
It's the only place
so
other than
fun.
going out of the city. There's nothing. It's a city and then the track. I mean, there's
Oh my God.
I think it would have been good for Galway. They say they had all these reasons for moving it, hotel infrastructure, all that, which might have been true, but that somebody got to somebody. That's the reason.
I don't trust anybody at this point. And dealing with the government, trying to stop this turnpike coming through my house. Like I don't trust anybody. They're all lying.
Well, I didn't realize Santa Anita covers 320 acres. That's how many acres it is. To give you a perspective, the Kentucky Horse Park's about 1,400. So it's about a quarter of the Kentucky Horse Park. I guess the infield is where they would do the jumping and dressage and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, they haven't announced where the para-equestrian events will be held, but they usually hold it at the same place. They wouldn't build two venues. So, and by the way, that is July 14th through the 30th in 2028 is when that'll happen. But let's do some daily Whinnies. And we have two birthdays of auditors right now, Nicole McKeon and Shelby Veely.
Are you looking for help?
Veely?
Veli, some one of those. Just own it, Glenn. Whatever. Nobody's going to know you don't know how to pronounce it. And you just own it.
Really look at it ahead of time. When I saw it, it was like, I usually look at these ahead of time, but I didn't. So Shelby and Nicole, have a great birthday. And where's my other daily Winnie? Oh, right there.
Well, kind of two minor little things. First of all, I would like to thank my brother for contributing to Weird News today, because one of those you'll see. The other one is to Norman Public Schools, who decided that today all juniors would have to take the SAT exams. You remember the SATs?
Yeah. Don't usually get warning though, don't you?
They're doing it in school. I remember I had to go spend a weekend somewhere and go to another location to take it.
Ours was at the school in the cafeteria or something, but it was on the weekend. I remember that.
Yeah, it's today. It's Wednesday.
So now here's Anna?
So Anna, I mean, why would she have to take the dang SATs?
Why would she take it? She's leaving.
Yeah, well, she's not taking it, and it is a beautiful day. We're going to ride horses all day, and it's going to be the best. So
you're trying to say she's home. Yeah,
it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, because she actually has a couple more years when she goes back, right?
Yeah, so she has to repeat junior year, and then they have a senior year. And did you know they have a 13th year?
What happens that year?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't understand it, but all I know is she is nowhere close to being done. And she is currently the valedictorian at her school for her junior. She's leading the whole school in education. I'm like, is
she really?
Because it's, yes, as much. And I let her skip. I mean, she has been very sick, Glenn, very sick this whole time. It's very sad. She's missed so many days due to illness, and I'm just so concerned about her. But she's not taking the SATs. We're going to ride horses all day, and it's going to be the best.
They are never going to let you have another one again.
Oh, by the way, we're going to also miss Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week because we're going to Kentucky.
Well, she's number one in her class. What are they going to say, right?
I mean, right?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'll let you do whatever you want as long as you keep those grades up. And she's like, done, challenge accepted. And she's like, she said that actually in school, they'll have 10 minutes of class. And the rest of the time, everybody is just on their phones, watching Netflix. It's shocking. You guys, be careful.
I would have never gotten anything done at all in school if I had had a phone.
She's like, you go to turn in your assignment, and she's like, most people don't even turn it in. I'm like, what is happening?
Huh. I would have never done my homework if I had a phone. It would have never happened.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, never.
So I wanted to talk to you about something. I've been waiting to talk to you about this. The story about the dire wolves came out last week. And anybody that's watched Game of Thrones knows what dire wolves are. They're great, big, white, huge wolves that want to eat you. And some of them are friendly, if you know them, and then the others just eat everybody in sight. So that's what the dire wolf is. I didn't realize that they were actually an extinct thing, that they existed. I thought it was just in Game of Thrones.
I did too.
Yeah. I had no idea that the story came out that Colossal Biosciences has genetically engineered the first dire wolf to live in over 10,000 years. There's 2 of them. Jurassic Park come to mind? And did Jurassic Park, any of them have a happy ending, Jamie?
No, Glenn, no, this is a mess. I got to tell you, Chad came up to me. He's like, I have got the best feel good story. And I was like, what? And he's like, they are creating dire wolves. And I was like, this is a terrible idea. What are you talking about?
I'm with you on
this is
one.
how the world, and it's scary. It's like that AI voice that we listened to.
Yeah.
I was like, this is too terrifying. But he did say that they also now have almost all the DNA for saber-tooth tigers and woolly mammoths and
that's
dinosaurs. Great. We saw this movie.
How about the T-Rex? Let's just do that too.
God, people. Although the wool puppies are so cute.
They are kind of cute until they grow up. It's like kitties. It's like
I don't know if it's an AI picture or not, but they have the 2 dire wolves laying in the Iron Throne. Have you seen that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's so great.
I feel like AI is progressing so fast that we can't keep up morally, legally, or any other way. And I kind of feel that's happening now with things like the dire wolf. And then this other story. Are you ready for this new one?
Oh, no.
I'm going to read part of this. A bioengineering lab in Argentina has announced the arrival of its first super horses after genetically modifying the animal's DNA. The enterprise hopes to transform the world of high-performance animals which are used in sports like racing and polo. The South America-based lab looking to produce the most elite horses in the world by hand-picking the best traits of the horse genome and passing them on to foals. And with these first ones, what they did is they took the gene that was responsible for genetic or regulating muscle growth, and they enhanced it before the babies were born. So they've taken these genes so theoretically, it should be born with the ability to grow bigger and more muscles and producing faster, more powerful babies.
Okay, could you please, I don't know, skim through the article and just tell me, please, that they've decided to engineer the hoof. Because how many racehorses I have had with feet. Yeah, fix the hoof. I mean, you see those giant muscles. You say muscles, it just makes me think of this halter quarter horses with the little teacup feet, and they don't even live past 7.
Before long, they're going to have horns and wings, and we'll have unicorns. That's where we'll be.
Well, I could get on with some Pegasus, okay? I could deal with that.
This is going to have to be a discussion at FEI level, right? I mean, Polo's already using cloned horses. I forgot, we have a guest coming up, and we did the interview a little earlier, and I forgot to ask her whether these horses, I assume they would qualify. You can show them. So we're cloned horses. So what about these genetically modified horses? And then if you get a horse that's genetically modified, how do you even know? In other words, who would know unless you tell somebody?
Is there an asterisk next to it? They're going to have genetically modified divisions.
Racing won't allow it, right? Because racing has to be natural breeding. So that's not going to happen theoretically.
Well, I mean, I guess if you had let's see, if I could go, okay, they've genetically modified babies that were bred and born, are they genetically modifying the embryo? Because you can't do that. Okay. So, I just, you know what? I'm already freaked out by the fact that they made dire wolf mice. What were you thinking there? These things are going to spread the population. There's going to be attack mice everywhere. Vicious, tiny little mice.
And then they're going to have AI brains, and they will take over the world. It'll be yeah, and they'll all sound like that guy we talked to. All right, there you go. That's my disturbing news of the day.
If you could clone Jon Snow and put him in my house, that'd be cool. I'd be okay with that.
All right, let's hear about Poseidon.
As a horse owner, you know the joy of seeing your equine partner thrive, but travel, competition, and daily life can take a toll. That's why Poseidon Animal Health offers veterinarian formulated supplement to support your horse's well-being. Stress Paste provides targeted support during times of acute stress, while Digestive HP is your daily gut health foundation, supporting the entire GI tract from stomach to hindgut. Trusted by vets and elite riders alike, Poseidon Animal Health puts your horse's health first. Discover the difference at PoseidonAnimalHealth.com. And I will tell you on a side note, Glenn, that I have one of our listeners' 3-year-old babies here to start, and they don't have social media, so I'm just sending them videos, not posting them. But this is a sweet little angel baby, 3-year-old warm blood, and he has since he's been here, he's had like the cush baby horse life, his whole life. And ever since he got here, he's like, I can't eat. And then we realized that he's probably got some ulcers. So one of the things going forward is we're treating the ulcers, and then he's going to live his life on gut digestive HP. Like we've kind of come talk to the vets and everybody agrees. And so Poseidon Animal Health is the best.
There we love go. There's a raving endorsement right there. And we have a new customer for Poseidon.
Yeah.
Well, next we have a fascinating guest coming up. She's always delightful. I love talking to her. Her name is Charlotte Jorst. She's been on the dressage show many times. She's a Grand Prix rider, and you all may know her by her horse named Nintendo. Now get this, during his dressage career, he's 22 and retired now, but during dressage career, he competed 127 international Grand Prix CDIs, winning 25 of them. So, world championships, all kinds of stuff from all over.
And here I am like complaining about being tired after doing my dressage walk trot test. Like, what?
You're going to feel bad about that after the interview with Charlotte.
She's so amazing, though. Oh, my God. She's so amazing.
Well, she cloned Nintendo, and we're going to hear all about that. Charlotte, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to spend a few minutes with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be talking about Nintendo and all his beautiful little clones.
Well, we covered clones when it first started in 2008 on our first show, Stable Scoop, with Viagen, who was the only one cloning horses at that point. And they had just done the first ones, which were the quarter horses. And it's so ironic that here we are all this time later, and you just did 3 of them with your champion Nintendo. First question is why?
And by the way, I did it with Viagen again. I did it because I'm an older person and I love riding Nintendo. I know what that ride is. I know how to take care of him. I know everything about Nintendo. So for me to not have something I would fall off of, or I don't trust, or as I get older, I just have these horses that I know and love. I know how to shoe them. I know how to feed them. I know everything, and not have to guess all those things and be fearful of riding, because I know Nintendo would never do anything to hurt me, and neither will his clone. So that was mostly the reason. People always they think, she wants to win again. But it's not really about that. It's mostly about the safety and the comfort of riding and knowing and not having to make mistakes, because it irks me so much when I have horses and I make a mistake. I do something and they go lame or something, and I know I won't do that with these. I can have a clean run with them because I know how to do it.
And what's wrong with winning again? Where did that become a bad thing?
Well, if I do that again, that would be amazing too. But it's not the main reason. It's mostly because I don't want to treat a horse the wrong way. A lot of times you get a horse that's 8 or 9, and then you do something to it and you ride it maybe too hard or too little, and it hurts itself in the turnout or something. And then it's lame, and I just run around with this guilt inside myself when I do that. And with these, I hope to avoid that.
So why 3?
Well, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
What you do is you tell the laboratory that you'd like a clone, and then you say, I will take 3 if there is 3, or 5, or I'll take 1. So you don't know if you get 0 or if you get 3. So in this particular case, I just got 3. I was like, it was so funny that you send them the material, and then you don't basically hear anything until the horse is on the ground standing and nursing, because they don't want you to like weirdly attach yourself to the horse that's not been born. And then if something happens and you get no clones, now you're like all depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't tell you anything. So I got a message from them with a picture of little Nintendo, and I was like, yay, yay, yay. And then like 5 days later, I got another picture. I'm like, yay, yeah, yeah. And then like the week after, I got like a third picture. I was like, yeah, I guess, yay. But now I really don't want it anymore.
I was just going to say, did you really want them to quit at 3 at that point?
No, I really didn't want 3. I wanted like 1 or 2, but you can't choose. And then of course you take them all. And so that's the thing with cloning. You don't know. I mean, my daughter tried to clone her jumper and it didn't take. So she didn't get any. And then she tried again, and now she has a little clone. So she got 1.
So what do you send them? What's the process?
Well, that's kind of icky. That's the ickiest part, because you take like a little chunk out of your horse, and I'm so extremely sensitive to anything that's hurting the horses. So that was really hard for me to take out a little piece of Nintendo, and then you send it to them. So
it's
just
kind of like when
piece.
they do a biopsy on a person, they tend to take a little
like
chunk.
a piece of their butt, or what?
Yeah.
Like
The butt and the front. A little piece like underneath the front legs, and a little piece up on the butt. But I don't think it has to be very big. It's just an itty bitty piece, but it still irks me. I also can't like take a needle to my own hand and stick myself or something. I can't stand blood. So that was really icky for me to do that. But that's how you do it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that's how they did it. So now you've got these 3. How old are they?
They are now 3. And it's been so fun, because they have been my farm in Reno, which is actually where my daughter lives. So my 2 little grandchildren they've been growing up with them, and they've just been there the whole time, and I've been able to follow every step of the way. And I have a great groom there that loved them and sends me pictures. And then when I go back and see my children and grandchildren, I see the clones as well. So it's been really great. And the funniest thing is you also clone. I mean, this is highly disputed, but I can clearly say that this is the case. You clone the memory too. They have some kind of memory, because I would come out on the field and these little horses were out, and I go, Nintendo, and they all come running to me thinking that they knew me.
Wow.
So it's so crazy.
Are their personalities similar, or are they all a little different?
They are very, very similar. And the other thing that I have loved about it is that they're also similar physically. So you know how little stallions will fight for dominance, and they will too, but nobody wins because they all the same. So they fight and fight and fight. So finally we had to separate them, when they got like 2, because, they were like ready they would like to climb up of each other. And if one laid down, the other ones would lay on them. I mean, it was bad.
I have a question. So how old are they now?
They are 3.
Okay. So will you send them to be started by the same person as the original, or like, because I would imagine that there's some sort of like, there's nature versus nurture, and you've got nature in there. So are you trying to keep nurture kind of as close as possible?
It's an extremely, extremely good question, and it's obviously been on my mind. Nintendo was started by Van Olst horses, where Glamourdale and everybody is there, and it's in Europe. And I just don't believe in not having the horses somewhat close to me. So I selected to go with the nature and against the nurture, and sent them to my very good friend Stacy Brass up at Brass Stables in Kentucky to get them started, because then I can visit them and I can see them and I can have whereas in Europe, first of all, that trip I would irk me. And the other thing is that I wouldn't have them close to me, which I know that people send their horses to other people to ride, but I really don't like that.
But and so they'll all three be started by the same person, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So they all have the same experience, basically.
They all have the same experience. Yes.
And I assume you're hoping to put them all into dressage careers here.
I hope so. I'm going to try. I think I won't ride them for, probably another year and really get them solid on the saddle. And then I think I'll try to do the young horse classes with them and just, me, I love having fun and showing and getting the horses out there. So I plan to do everything I can.
Wow, that's terrific. And then you did 2 more.
Times 3.
Times 3, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's going to be so much fun.
The confusion and untacking at those shows.
And coming in, and here we have Nintendo Switch. And I mean, it's going to be so much fun. This has been one of the funnest experiences of my life. It's been so incredible.
That's so cool. Yeah, tell everybody the names because the stallion is Nintendo, and then talk about the names. I love this.
So we have Nintendo 64, and we have Nintendo Switch, and we have Super Nintendo.
And I had a Nintendo 64, that's for sure.
I have an 11-year-old son, so all of that would be just right in.
It's super cool.
Now, you have 2 more, as I understand it. You have 2 more clones?
I also, at the same batch, cloned Zeppelin, the big black horse that I now show at Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And he is also cloned, and I have 2 of him.
Oh, my God.
And so tell us their names, too, because, so your stallion's name's Zeppelin, right?
Zeppelin,
yeah.
Yes.
What are the newcomers named?
And the newcomers' name are Led Zeppelin and Stairway to Heaven.
I love that. I love your naming. That's terrific.
Girl, you know what? I got to hear, what I hear is you're like, I'm an older person and so am I. And I am hearing how much work you have to do. It sounds exhausting, but so fun at the same time. But dang, girl, 5 babies. Woo! That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but I like working. I always really liked working, and I've always been extremely busy, and it's my life to work. People always go, oh, you're on the hamster wheel and this and that, but I don't feel like it's a hamster wheel. I love it.
We've been interviewing.
That's what we do. Yeah.
We've been interviewing you probably for close to 15 years for various things. We'll talk about the other thing we've interviewed you about in the past, but it always seems like you're just having a good time with it.
I am. I love it. And if I don't, then I change something because I just think, but I love working. I mean, that's the thing. I love being really busy. I think it's fun.
Well, you have been very busy. By the way, good luck. Can we follow you and have you on more often as they start to get under saddle and training and things?
I think that would be so fun because there's so much interest around them. People love following them and seeing them and hearing about them. So I would love to do that. That would be so fun.
We'll put a picture.
Do they have an Instagram or a Facebook page where we can follow along with all of them?
Yes, my Instagram page is just Charlotte Jorst, and so is my Facebook page. And I do intermittent follow-ups on them. I mean, every 2 weeks or so, and there's always thousands of people watching them. That last time I posted something was 80,000 views in 2 hours.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Nobody's interested, huh?
Yeah, everybody's interested. But I am interested too. I think it's so fun. I literally, it's the most fun thing I've ever done.
Well, we're excited for you, and we'll definitely have you on more often to follow their progress. It's going to be interesting as they get under saddle to see how they differ. I think that's when you'll start to see the differences, right?
I don't think there's going to be any differences.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think they're going to be very similar. Yeah, but we can make like a $10 bet. You will see the difference.
Okay, I'll take you up on that. You're going to be shocked when one of them becomes a Grand Prix jumper and your daughter is riding.
Yeah, then I owe you the $10. That's for sure.
And now riding in the Kentucky 3-day event this year, Charlotte and
and by the time I'll be 70, I'll be barely hanging on.
Well, we're very excited to see how all this comes out. And you're kind of the one, because there is 3, you're kind of the one that's either going to prove Jamie's point earlier or not, right?
Yes.
So, because you have the 3 from the same horse, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
It's going to be so much fun.
Well, I also know you from something else, and that's your other business. And what I didn't realize, you started a clothing business, and that's where I met you first at Ada. You were on the back wall of Ada in Philadelphia. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't realize why you started the clothing company. And then I read that today and I was like, okay, that makes sense. It's because you had skin cancer.
Exactly. I had that other company before, and I was always dreaming of riding horses. And I hadn't really ridden before. I jumped a little bit with my children, but nothing much. And then I sold the first company, Skagen, the watch company. And then I started riding outside in Reno, and it only took 6 months. And I had like raging skin cancer and had to like get it taken away. And then my doctor said, "Oh, now you have to be back inside." And I was like, "I will not
Hell
be
no.
back inside." I worked 25 years to be outside riding my horses. I will not go inside. So I researched clothing and UV protection and all of that. And then I launched Kastel, and it's obviously other people have had the same problem, because I think there's very few equestrians who doesn't have my clothing, and it's been a great adventure. That's been another really, really rewarding and wonderful thing.
And I remember the early days of that company when you basically were first getting started. And now you're right, you see it everywhere.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good run, and we have also gone into golf, and we have added jackets and just a bunch. We're adding leggings and just a bunch of us, so people can do whole outfits, and it's really working. And it's been a great thing, because I feel like, especially when I see kids, it's so satisfying for me, because they don't even know that they're protected, but they just feel that they're chic and it looks good on them.
Yeah, and that was always the thing about your clothing, is it looked good. It wasn't boring either. It was fun.
You don't look like a beekeeper.
Right, exactly. I love that line. That's a great line.
That's what I was going for. Dang it.
I want to look. Today I'm going to look like a beekeeper.
Well, give everybody that website too.
Yeah, that is called Kastel Denmark. So it's Kastel with a K, Kastel, Denmark.com.
I was on the retail side for a long time, and I kind of watched you. It was you and Carrots that were coming up and having basically kind of parallel successes all through that time. You two, both companies did very well, and because they had good, unique products. And I think that's why they both succeeded.
Yeah. That's funny to say, because I never really feel that I did succeed. There's always more things you want to do. And there's always, I think success is such a relative term. And I always say I never have really reached any of my goals, or I've never really perceived myself to be very successful, because I just don't reach my goals, because I guess my goals are too high or something. I don't know. or maybe I'm not. So I think that I'm very pleased. This is really validating my existence, that you're saying that you think this is a success. I'll try to remember this
when
moment.
Half the kids at the show have your clothing on, I think you can call that a success. The other half have Carrots, and this half has yours. So I think
not to mention you have 5 super baby clones. So
Yes.
I think you're
success. But that's also like just pure happiness and success. And I think real success is being happy.
Okay. We're about the same age, I know. And I would say to you, let's lower your goals at our age and succeed. All right? So let's take the successes.
That's a good idea. But I don't know that I can.
I don't think you can
I always
either.
strive. And the moment that you achieve something, sometimes, a good thing for me that I sometimes do is I say, I look back at where I was. And then I said, if I'd seen myself now, I would think that would be successful. So that's a good way for me to relook at it.
And we all think you're successful, Charlotte. So, not too many people win as dozens of Grand Prix at CDIs. And there's not too many people who do that. So, Charlotte, thank you for joining us. Please come back and keep us up to date on the
I would love that.
The teenagers. We'd appreciate it.
I would love it. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you. And I would love to come back.
Cut there. That was perfect, Charlotte. You were great.
Okay, well, thank you. It was so nice to be on the show. I love you guys.
Well, thank you for joining us. And we'll definitely have you back. As they get under saddle and stuff, we'll keep in touch, all right?
They are on the saddle, so we could do. I mean, they are now cannering, I guess, already.
I meant when they're under saddle with you.
Oh, with me. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Glenn, you're putting pressure on me.
No pressure, but we're expecting to talk to you in a couple of weeks, okay?
Okay, love you guys. Have a good one.
See ya, Charlotte.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, everyone, are you ready for a chance to win some amazing horse gear? State Line Tech is giving away thousands of dollars in prizes every single month. By the way, you qualify for this.
Really?
Yeah, that's right. You could win big just by participating in their monthly giveaway. Imagine getting your hands on top quality tack, riding apparel, and all sorts of fantastic horse supplies. It's super easy to enter. Just head over to State Line Tech's website and check out their monthly giveaway page. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to score some serious equestrian goodies. Visit State Line Tech online today and enter for your chance to win. That's statelinetech.com, where winning is just a click away. And don't forget our coupon code, HRN. Put it in at checkout. You get 30% off any order over $129. Please note there are some products that are not eligible for additional discounts due to manufacturer restrictions, or they're already on mega sale. But once you put the coupon code in, you'll see which items are discounted.
This month, Genius, the giveaway is a sponsored pack by Farnham, a fly control prize pack valued at over $300. And it's like fly mask, Simplify, fly spray, SWAT, repel, like all the fly control.
We could use that. I saw Jennifer just spent over $100 on fly stuff, so we could use that.
Hopefully she used the coupon code HRN.
Check out. Well, thank you to State Line Tech for their continued support. And the next guest, Horse Health Report, is brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. We had a question about bone cysts. Well, we had already done bone cysts years ago, and we decided just to pull this one out of the archives. This was recorded in 2021, and I forgot that Wendy used to fill in for me occasionally and be your co-host, Dr. Wendy. So it was Dr. Wendy, you, and Dr. Jones all on talking about bone cysts, and of course having two doctors on made it a lot of fun, and you learned something along the way. So for the listener who asked about bone cysts, here you go.
This is such a thrill. I've got two doctors on the line. I've got Dr. Jones from Florida Equine, and Dr. Jones meet Dr. Ying, who's also in Florida.
Hi, Dr. Jones. How are you?
Good. Oh, it's awesome to have both of you guys on. This is so cool. So what we were going to talk to you today, because we've already done an extensive EPM conversation, is we are going to talk a little bit about bone cysts. And I believe Jennifer even mentioned, my other producer, navicular bursitis. So what is, let's very broad, giant subject, but what is a bone cyst? That was my first question.
Who wants to take it?
It's all you. This is your turn.
Okay. Great. Well, basically a bone cyst is what we see on x-ray. It's a lucency or a black area inside the bone or at the joint surface that there is no bony development in that area.
Okay. And why is that?
It comes in different sizes and descriptions. So some are called subchondral bone cysts. Those you usually see in the stifle, and they're underneath the cartilage. They're deeper into the bone. Then there are some bone cysts that actually lie down further into the bone that don't cause any lameness or any problems, but they are apparent, and they can sometimes resolve on their own as the horse grows and pushes and makes more bone in the growth plate, or they can just lie there quiescent most of the horse's life. Then it sounds like you mentioned one that people call bone cyst, is they see it in the center of a navicular bone, and they feel that sometimes comes from bone edema or some swelling within the bone itself and causing some separation and not being as calcified, I guess would be my best way to say it.
So you mentioned young horses. Is this something young horses get or all ages?
All ages, but we see it primarily in the young horses. They believe that most of them start when they're young, especially the ones in the stifle. And they usually, when we talk about bone cysts in general, we talk about the stifle, the hock, the fetlock, the shoulder, and sometimes down in the pastern or the coffin bone. But really, we're looking at the stifle, the hock, the fetlock, and the shoulder as our primary bone cyst areas. And some of those, when we radiograph the young horses under 12 years of age, you'll see one, and a lot of the surgeons say, no, I don't want to do anything with it right now. Let's see what it looks like when they're a year and a half. And they either move down with the growth plate and cause no problem, or they'll go in and they'll drill them out, or they'll inject them. I myself have injected some with stem cells in the field to see if we can reduce them, usually in an older horse. But if they sit there from a young age, they continue to stay in that spot until they get older. Again, warm bloods don't get started until they're 5 or 6 years of age. You don't see a lameness until that age. And then you start addressing the problem and say, oh, when did this pop up? It could have been there when they were a yearling. You just never radiographed the horse until they were 5 or 6 years of age with a lameness.
Right. So, focusing on the bone cysts and the stifle, because I have a friend with a 3-year-old warm blood. You just literally talked about her. You just described it. So she has a 3-year-old warm blood, and she started him, and she's riding him around, and he came up. She brought him up for a lesson. He came up a little sore. X-rayed the stifle. He's got a bone cyst in it. What causes that?
They feel that some of it's trauma-related, but they don't have an accurate diagnosis on it because some start at such a young age. So they feel that some of those might be genetically, related. Not that they'd pass it on to a bunch of other ones, but that is a suspicion. I had a warm blood client, and she was actually an employee that had one in the shoulder on her young mare, found it at 2 to 3 years of age, and she chose never to breed her, because she thought that possibly she might pass it on, and she felt she should do the right thing and not breed her. So they can't say 100% they're genetically related, like they'd pass it on to every single offspring, but that is one of the discussions. Trauma is another discussion. Maybe they did something as they were growing up out in the field in the first couple of years of life and caused some damage to the subchondral area, and it causes a lack of vascularization in that area, or a bruising in that area, or an edema in that area. And then it just continues to get larger in size, or it stays the same size. They're usually circular in the stifle. They're found in the femoral condyle, the medial femoral condyle, so they're on the femur. And then there's a lot of different approaches that people have had. Surgeons try to dig them out and inject them at the same time with arthroscopy. Some people just say, let's just inject and see what we get out of it. Those kind of things. But those are definitely why we do stifle radiographs on pre-purchases, to look for those.
Gotcha. So with the injection, you mentioned stem cell. Is that something that can help it, or are you injecting it with like a steroid to calm it down?
Both of them. You can do either one. And there's not enough data out there to say that the stem cells are an absolute got to do it, it's going to help. But it's certainly something that we're all trying in the field, and there's just not enough data to say it works.
Understood. Okay. And if for say somebody has a bone cyst in one leg, is it going to be in the other side as well, or is it typically just on one side?
Typically on one side, but they always, especially if they're going to go under the knife, or an arthroscopy, they'll always radiograph both, and they do the same with the hock to see if they need to go in and do the other one while they're under anesthesia and go in and dig them out or clean them out.
Gotcha. Now, when you mentioned the issues in the navicular, is that something that can be solved or removed or calmed down or fixed, or is it kind of sometimes with the navicular stuff, it's an ender,
Right. It actually depends on how the cyst looks. So back in the days, radiographs were the only thing we had. And the same with, the stifle now still, because we can't get stifles into MRIs and take a good look at them, but we can get a foot into an MRI and get a better look at that cyst. But with the cyst of the navicular bone, I know when we were doing a navicular bone study, that if they had a white ring around it, what they call sclerotic ring, it's SCLEROTIC, sclerotic.
Well done.
And I'm speaking to you in my new braces, by the way.
Oh,
so I'm having a very hard time making words lately talking to clients. Anyway, the sclerotic ring, they felt that medicine couldn't really penetrate and get to those cysts and help those bony cysts out. So for those drugs that are out there, Osphos, Tildren, that are made for navicular, they feel that if there's a sclerotic ring around those types of bone cysts, and that's what people are calling them, is a bone cyst, because it's a circular opacity or radiolucency in the bone, they feel that they can't get the drug into it because the sclerotic ring does not allow the drug to absorb in. So those tend to not have as good a diagnosis as just a circular cyst, an early onset cyst. Again, in the foot, MRI is going to be your ultimate diagnostic tool to say, can we fix this horse or can we not fix this horse? A lot of times those cysts in the navicular bone also have other associated problems such as bursitis, adhesions in the bursa, and some fibrillation where it's just tearing of the deep digital flexor tendon. So it's not just that cyst that's causing the problem. There might be others. And again, MRI helps people out with that.
Well, if Wednesday is not enough for people to learn all of the medical stuff we have on Wednesdays is awesome. We've all learned a new word today. Everybody repeat it with me, sclerotic. And we even know how to spell it. So very impressive, Dr. Jones. Well, this is great. So I feel like this is a subject that we could probably pick your brain on with every joint, talking about bone cysts. Is there something that we can do when the horse is in utero or born or something to prevent bone cysts from happening?
Well, there's always speculation out there about feeding, nutrition, and we're still learning about some of that to see if it's changing how these cysts per se are forming. So they feel that nutrition balance of the mare or in the early lives of the foal is going to make a big difference on these cysts. So, you're less protein, doing more forages, that kind of thing, it seems to be a better source. But that's still, again, being researched and looked at. As far as the other thing, again, my employee chose not to breed her mare. She thought that maybe she might pass it on. Some people feel that maybe that's what they should do, is not breed those horses and stop the cycle of that. Again, we're still looking at those potentials.
You know what? I feel like you're like kind of answering every question, but then telling me that you're really not sure. And it's kind of frustrating.
It is.
That's why they call it practice.
And you know what? For your friend who found out now that the horse is going into training, that's when we find it. Those are the most frustrating to those people. And again, that's why we're sticking stem cells in there and we're doing a bunch of other stuff because we're trying. We're trying whatever we can to get those horses out there performing and enjoying them because we didn't know before 4 or 5 years of age.
Right.
Dr. Jones, I think one of the really important things you said, too, about that situation with Jamie's friend and the 3-year-old warm blood is that sometimes people think, well, I don't need pre-purchase radiographs. And really, I mean, they can be so important to avoid an issue like this, or go into it with your eyes open. Like you might still buy the horse anyways, but at least you know what's there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, I will give it up to my friend. She did buy this horse in utero, so x-rays were not available.
Okay.
But yes, now they are. And like I said, we have a good vet who found out all that information for us, and they're treating it the way that they should. But that's just interesting. 2 things have come up on the show that I'm currently dealing with with me. You know what? Maybe I'm dealing with all the things, and we could talk about anything and it would work. Well, Dr. Jones, where can people find you to find more information if they have questions about any of these bone cysts or anything, even, I mean, because FloridaEquine.com is a resource that everybody should go visit. How can they get in touch with you? Yeah.
Absolutely. They can send us email messages through there. We get tons of them a day, and so we just filter through and respond to them, as quickly as we can. Sometimes it takes us an extra day because we do get quite a few a day through that website. And, of course, your AAP site is also another good source for any kind of good management and horse care needs, too. They have your documentation of what they recommend for vaccination protocols and white papers on EPM, since you mentioned that earlier, things like that. So.
Fantastic. Well, Dr. Jones, as always, it's a pleasure having you on, and enjoy those braces and take a lot of Advil when they get tightened.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the help.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
Yes, it's the time of the week where we just kind of share some really fun, exciting things that are happening around the world. And typically, I mean, of all the places in the world, all the places, there seems to always be at least a couple from Florida, and we've got at least one from Florida today. And I would like to thank these. I know, you must be. So if you're ever looking through the news and you're like, oh my God, That's so weird. Email it to me, weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com, and you can be a part of the show and help me out. Just like Michelle, Delia, Hannah, Amy, Shelly, Carol, Jenny, Laureen, Claire, and Janelle all did. Thank you guys for sharing the weird news that you found. And so we're going to start. Let's see, where are we going to go? I just love a good airport animal smuggling story.
Let me tell you, they said because of the tariffs and everybody being mad at the United States that people visiting the country is down like 50%. You couldn't tell it by the Charlotte airport on Sunday night because that place was packed. Was like...
You never know who to trust when you're reading your news. And well, yeah. So I just think it's funny. They're like, travel's down. Oh, really? All these people just canceled their flights that they paid all that money for? I don't think so. Well, these guys never actually got to the airport because they got busted even before the airport. And thank God they did, because it probably saved their lives. We're going to go to Nairobi, Kenya. Two Belgian teenagers from Belgium were charged on Tuesday with wildlife piracy, okay? Because the Kenyan authorities, they heard that this might be going on, and so they went to the place that these two 19-year-olds were staying at a guest house. And the Kenyan authorities, can you imagine?
Can I guess what they had?
Yeah.
They had two zebras in the room. They were going to put them on the plane and bring them home with them.
No, something that would be so much easier to transport across the country. Okay. So they took them and they put them in test tubes. They crammed them all in test tubes, and then they put cotton on top of the test tubes, and then they were going to tape the test tubes to the insides of their thighs. What were they bringing? Ants. Large red harvester ants native to Africa. I'm sorry. What? Why would you do that?
That sounds like something somebody would bring to Florida and let loose. It's like,
yeah, I'm like, wait, nobody needs any more ants. Like, no, and they're probably like some African ant that grow to like, the size of pterodactyls,
eat
and they
your fingers off
I don't
while
know.
you're sleeping. Yes.
Can you imagine if what if they broke a test tube and they have them taped to their inner thighs? Their testicles would be food.
This is why we have 25-foot pythons in the Everglades now, is people like this right here.
Exactly. Obviously, they were arrested, and they had these, yes, because apparently they can sell them. Kenyan authorities valued the ants at 1 million shillings, which is $7,700. And the price for the ants can vary greatly according to the market. Apparently, there's a fluctuating ant market. I don't know. They had 5,000, and then they dimed out their friend who had 400 in his apartment. Wow. They were just gonna like they're 19, and I'm looking at them, and they look really stupid.
The ants are them.
Must be. The guys. The guys. The ants look like the devils.
Horrifying.
Okay.
Yes. If somebody wants some ants, we could give them a few thousand fire ants. We have plenty of those around here. So
I mean, just put a test tube in my paddock. I've been fighting this pile for years. They just move every time I take care of it.
Oh, that's what happens with fire ants. That's the thing. All right, next one. I need to get off the ants. I'm getting skin's crawling a little.
Yeah. It's cool. The other thing I love more than anything is things that happen and the police make comments on it. Okay. Yes. So we're going to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, because for more than a year, a pair of cows have been roaming parts of Northwest Allen County near the Fort Wayne city limits. Okay. And they get spotted all the time. And here's what I love. Like, I feel like this should be South Georgia or something. The cows belong to the family that run Warner's Garage. That's an auto repair shop up Fritz Road.
That does sound like Georgia.
It sounds like Georgia. Until one day they got loose. And since then, the cows, they've been staying kind of around the area, but they ain't never been caught. Because here's what happens is you see the cows, and as soon as they see you, you can't even get your camera out fast enough before they run back into the woods. And so, they called the police. Every time somebody sees it, they call the police, and they're like, hey, there's these cows out. And then they just run back into the woods. And so what happened is that here's the police comment. They've gone kind of feral.
Okay.
The person that I spoke with on Wednesday said they seem like deer. They run like deer. They come out and graze in the night. And when they see people, they retreat back into the woods. And so they have been so elusive. Nobody has any pictures of it. And here's the rest of the police. They seem to enjoy the woods. Until they get in the roadway and cause a public safety issue, then we're going to take different measures to try and get them taken care of. But right now, they're just doing their thing. That is the quote from the police. They're just doing their thing.
Their thing is avoiding becoming T-bones is what their thing is.
No kidding. Apparently, they've had people hunting them with like bows and arrows and stuff, and they still can't get them. So, I mean, I'm Team Cow all the way.
When we first moved here, the first farm we had here in the neighborhood that we moved into was joining a large wooded area where Jennifer used to ride, and there were feral cows in there for years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
add 2 more to it in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Maybe they're the smart ones.
I'm telling you, I'm a Team Cow. Okay, so this actually came out like right around April 1st, and everybody thought it was a prank, but it's not a prank because it's just so gross. And would you do this? Okay. Glenn, do you like fried chicken?
Yes, I love fried chicken.
Like KFC fried chicken?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not my first choice, but I do like fried chicken.
Well, if you like fried chicken, this is for you because Kentucky Fried Chicken original recipe has now brought, I'm going to read it. It's brought the unmistakable taste of crispy, golden perfection straight to your toothbrush for a full-on flavored takeover.
Oh, God.
That's right. KFC is now making toothpaste. It costs $13 a tube.
Oh, my God.
And it is sold out.
I bet every prank gift ever, you'd want that. Oh, my God.
The fried chicken flavored toothpaste doesn't contain any fluoride, though. So they're not going to make. I mean, all I can think about when I see Kentucky Fried Chicken flavored toothpaste is just like you squeeze the tube and it's just a bunch of oil. What?
I can see it for joke gifts, though, selling out. I can see that.
Well,
for sure.
There is an accompanying electric toothbrush that does come with it, and that is an extra $59.
Is it shaped like a chicken wing?
It is just a red toothpaste.
Oh, it should have been shaped like a chicken
tube.
wing. They missed that one.
They really missed the mark. Yeah.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. I like fried chicken. Wouldn't use that.
And finally, we're going to go to Florida. We're going to go to one of my favorite places in Florida. Where is that, Glenn? Where have I spent so much time in Florida? I got married in this town in Florida. St. Augustine. Now, I really
cover the story about the cute animals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so in St. Augustine, Florida, you should totally go. This is so cool. Okay, so do you know what capybara is? It's like the most giant guinea pigs. Okay, right? They're huge and they're so cute and they're so friendly and they're just they just don't know
like
a predator.
Pound version of a guinea pig.
Yeah, they're huge. And so there is now the Capybara Cafe in St. Augustine. And so you go in and you eat your lunch and these capybaras just roam around, and it says here a lot of times they'll climb on your lap because they're just really used to people, and if you're good at scratching they'll actually fall over. It's our goal to get them so comfortable that they just fall over and let you scratch them. So my brother lives in St. Augustine.
Oh, he went.
So I texted him and I'm like, I sent him a screenshot of the news story about the Capybara Cafe. And it says, giant rodents cuddle with visitors at the Capybara Cafe in St. Augustine, Florida. And there's a picture of a capybara like looking up, and it's so cute. And I said, oh my God, Justin, this is in St. Augustine. Have you been? And here's my brother's response. No, I typically try to avoid restaurants that have rats in them.
They are like large rats. So it's like,
and I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like, that's a giant rodent and you're eating with it. Like, I mean,
they wear
I'm
little
not behind,
diapers? That's my concern. I'm just wondering.
No, they're just roaming around, and they just must. I mean, they can't be potty trained, and they jump up on your lap while you're trying to eat.
Yeah, because they want your plate of food. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I still would go because I'm like,
that sounds like something you
but,
and I would do together.
Yeah,
yeah.
but my brother is not all about it.
Yeah,
He's like, I try
Chad joining you either.
I typically try to avoid restaurants that have rats in it. And and I wrote him back and there's no right back. I can't even believe he actually responded to that text, but that was the perfect answer. And that's my brother. Perfect. Well, apparently when you enter the reception area, Glenn, there's like couches and there's, this is a food place. It cannot have a good score because when you enter the reception area, there's an open pen of baby chicks just roaming around, like where you would like, hey, I'd like to, table for
like
four.
Like you're like chicks?
Like baby chicks, like chickens. And so what happens is you go into a smaller room.
Is that what they're for?
I don't think so, baby. I don't think so. But apparently when you go and you sit down at your table, they put blankets over your laps. And then 3 capybaras are brought into the room. And there are other animals that are introduced to the room. And I feel like I'm spoiler alerting this experience for you, but other animals they bring in a skunk, a wallaby, an armadillo, and they crawl among the humans and into their laps. And so it is a $49 per half hour or $99 for an hour-long encounter that involves.
It's like bringing your table of food into the enclosure in the zoo. You're just setting it right up in the enclosure in the
just
zoo.
Thinking of all the like dust and dirt and germs. Yeah, what did I talk about before I started the show? I'm a half hour in and I finally was like, Glenn, what did I say?
You've been playing with chicks and you needed to wash your hands. So,
like an hour after I made coffee and all that.
How many of us have eaten the sandwich in the barn and never washed our hands?
I know I feel like I'm being judgy because like clearly I would totally do this and eat my lunch because I'll eat a sandwich in a after mucking stalls, still in the stall. So I can't comment on it, but I feel like most normal people probably would not think it's a great idea.
I would try it just for the heck of it. I don't know if I'd eat anything. Maybe just have a soda.
They grow. The capybaras can grow more than 4 feet long and weigh up to 100 pounds a piece. And then there's a picture of a little girl.
I don't know if I want one on my lap.
I want a capybara in my lap, like immediately. I want to fly to St. Augustine and go snuggle with a capybara. I want to do that, like right now.
All right. Well, next time you visit home, there you go. You can. We can do that. Hey, was that the last one? I have.
That's it.
I have a feel-good fun story for you.
Oh, good.
That I'm going to hold for Friday because there's another thing I want to talk to you about before we close the show. I have the feel-good fun story. I'll leave that one on Friday. But you know how we joke about the same plot for every horse movie? It's the same plot for every show and every horse movie. Well, yesterday...
The girl tames the wild horse, and then she has to enter a competition to save the farm. It's a thing.
Yep, all of that. Same one. Every story is the same. Horse TV yesterday, sponsored out of my Facebook feed. Useless. That's the name of the show. When 17-year-old Jessie loses her mother in a tragic accident, she moves in with her aunt and uncle in western Montana. Guess what they have?
Yeah.
In a new school and facing challenges, she holds on to her dream of barrel racing. With the help of a cutting horse named Useless, Jessie discovers hope and a chance to pursue her passion. Don't miss this heartwarming story of resilience and determination. Watch Useless now on Horse TV.
And you felt like telling that because we've never heard that? Was there a plot twist?
No, it's just the same story. Can we not come up with a new story involving horses? Does it always have to be the teenage girl whose mother dies and they go to a place? Aunt and uncle always have horses. And the aunt and uncle are always so supportive and take them all the shows so they can go win championships.
I feel like I feel like I'm going to challenge our listeners. Just don't use AI. Give me a brief synopsis on a movie that could be done that has nothing to do
any of this
with this. There's got to be a horse story that we can create as a family. Okay? Family helps family.
Well,
we need
at
to
least
revolutionize this.
I think Lisa broke that mold with her books because that's all about murders in the barn. So that kind of broke the mold a little bit, I think.
That is true. That is a little bit different. But I feel like we should. I feel like they're advertising it to horse people. Oh,
I couldn't believe it when I read it. I was like, oh my God, another one. That's the exact same.
And they named the horse Useless because he just, I can't get nothing done with this horse. He's useless. And then this little girl, like with her broken heart.
Yep. Poor Jessie, who's never ridden a horse in her life. Is now winning
goes and
championships
turns and
6 weeks later.
I feel like barrel racing is one of those sports you could just pick right up.
Yeah.
Just pick right up. Yep. Just like Grand Prix show jumping. Yep. Same thing.
Yep. I'm sure you could make those tight turns without falling off, having never ridden before.
I told you my favorite one. I've told you the plot to my favorite one before, and it is the exact same thing. Girl, somebody in her family dies. She has to go live with her aunt at a farm, and she goes there, and there's a wild horse that she and, this boy tame together. And they have to tame this wild horse and enter the local dressage competition to win the money and save the farm. What is the wild horse? What is the wild horse? What wild horse was out there that is going to win the giant dressage competition? A Frisian. Why is there a wild Frisian?
Was just on the plains of Utah.
And she's never ridden before, Glenn, and somehow she's able to tap into the Grand Prix dressage. And when you watch the test, like they show her riding, she's like on the wrong diagonal. She can barely trot, and it's a mess. I gotta remember the name of that. For those who haven't seen it, it's a thing. That's a real. I'm going to Google it while you close the show.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Auditors, hang on. We have something fun to talk about in the post show, too. Kind of involves education. So we're going to talk about that in the post show. And, of course, tomorrow on the show, well, actually, we're going to be dark tomorrow because it's normally Equine Affair Day, and we did 3 of those over the weekend. We interviewed 15 people in 3 days. And it looks like Focus Group really liked it, so we're glad you enjoyed the coverage from Equine Affair. It's always fun to do, and we get to meet a lot of people. And then Friday, we'll be back with some really bad ads, so send your ads in to Jennifer at horseradionetwork.com. We got 2 more weeks on the ads, and then we'll be giving away the prizes. So
I found it.
Yeah.
I found it. Okay, the movie. Okay, are you ready for the synopsis from IMDb?
Yes.
It's called The Dark Horse. The Dark Horse is a story of struggle and redemption. Dana, a ballet teacher, reluctantly returns to her childhood home to discover it's about to be sold. To save the farm and the family, she must tame her mother's dangerous black horse, Frisian, and ride him to victory in the year's biggest dressage competition. Oh my God. How?
There's a couple things wrong. There's a lot of things wrong with that, but the end is wrong too, because assume at the dressage competition we win lots of money to save the farm. That doesn't happen at dressage competition. So
listen, don't tell actress Carol Roscoe that it's a faulty plot, okay? She rides her way to success.
A jumper or a reiner, and then you could have won lots of money to save the farm.
I'm looking at these names to see if I recognize any of them, and I'm going to go ahead and give a fat no. Oh, here's a review. Here's a user review. Not dreadful, but completely disappointing.
That's what you want to hear for your movie.
Just completely disappointing.
You get 1 review and that's it.
Let's see. Here's a review. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Another review. A poorly written soap opera. Misleading title. A story about a family reuniting against all the odds. Not about horses.
Yeah, all the people coming that aren't horse people are going, why am I watching this horse movie? So it's like, they didn't want to be there either. Pretty much it's a lose-lose for everybody on that one.
Oh, not dreadful, but completely disappointing. That should be the tagline for our show.
Yeah.
Spay Neuter Guild. Not dreadful, but completely disappointing.
I think we could live up to that.